Hey guys, it's Kavik again, and today I'm going to show you how I have my custom crossbow class set up that you may have seen me play in other videos, and why I think this is the best loadout. I'm also going to go over some basic strategy for playing this style. We're going to start with the loadout, and to do that, we're going to make this guy's pretty fresh look just like this guy. Alright, so we're going to start with perks, because they determine everything else you can equip. Start with offensive perks. You have to choose Archer, obviously. And there's only a few options here that actually apply if we're going to be using a crossbow. The main ones we're going to be looking at are Nimble-Minded, Sleight of Hand, Marksman Training, and Eagle-Eyed, because the other ones only really apply to bow users. Alright, Eagle-Eyed, I would say is pretty standard. That's the perk that allows you to zoom in 2 times and 4 times, which is a huge bonus. So the other options we have are Marksman Training, Sleight of Hand, or Nimble-Minded. Nimble-Minded only really allows you to reload a little faster. It decreases the difficulty of the active reload minigame, but personally I don't think it's that difficult anyway. We don't need to reduce difficulty, so now we're left with Sleight of Hand and Marksman Training. Basically, Marksman Training reduces projectile drop, so all your shots go farther. And Sleight of Hand is faster passive reload. You'll reload a little bit faster, but with the setup that I'm using, I feel like I reload plenty fast as it is, and any extra range is definitely a good thing. So we're taking Eagle-Eyed and Marksman Training. Defensive perks. Personally, I like to have a shield. I feel like it makes taking on anybody that comes after you a whole lot easier. Shield Bash is pretty handy. I'll be showing you how to do that. And Shield Expert reduces encumbrance. So you will move around faster, all your attacks will charge up faster. So we're going to take those two. Supportive perks. I have seen some differences here in how people choose to do things. Some people take Surgeon because they find themselves bandaging a lot against other archers. But as an archer, Keen Eyes lets you reveal enemy names faster, so you'll see enemies from farther away. And Spotter, you get more XP when teammates kill targets you've tagged. And I'll be showing you how to tag. That's really handy. You get a lot of extra XP doing that. Movement perks. We're not going to be riding a horse. They haven't added that in yet. So our options are Runner, Field Warden, City Watch, and Fleet-Footed. Cat Burglar lets you survive falling, but if you're falling, you probably change something instead of trying to fall farther. City Watch, you can climb ladders faster than normal, and jump height doesn't really affect much outside of 2 or 3 areas in the game. So we're going to take Runner for faster total run speed, and Fleet-Footed for faster acceleration. And then officer perks, these are the 3 that I have unlocked. One is damage, one is armor, and one is a heal over time that can actually stop bleeding. For our purposes, I'm just going to take damage and armor. Alright, we'll move on to main weapon. Obviously we want a crossbow. There's only one option here. So now for your reload mechanism, basically your trade-off here is between difficulty of the minigame and passive reload speed. The only exception to that is the Windlass, which is the slowest to reload, but it does do bonus damage, which none of the others do. We're going to be sticking with Push Lever. It's the fastest reload. It's the hardest minigame to do successfully, but once you've practiced a little bit, it's actually not that hard. There's a few different arrow types you can use. Personally, I stick with armor piercing because at this point in the game, most people are wearing plate, using shield, stuff like that. So any extra we can do there is good. Safety you don't really want. It slows your reload speed. It's not really worth it. You're not switching weapons that often. Double Quiver, you probably don't necessarily need this at first. It does slow you down a little bit. But as you get good at picking out targets and reloading quickly, you will find that you start to run out of ammo. Sidearm. The default, I think, is probably Arming Sword. If you have the pre-order bonus or DLC, you get this sword, which is exactly the same as this one, except it looks different. I choose not to use a sword because, as I said, most people are wearing plate armor. And the only way to be effective against plate armor with a sword is to do your thrust motion, which is your down attack. And if they know that that's the only move you can do, they will just block that every time. So your options then are clubs or axes. Both are pretty good against plate, breaking down shields. I'm going to go ahead and use an axe. This battle axe you can flip around. I'll show you how to do that. I prefer Milanese just because you attack faster. Standard steel. And hollow grind for extra armor piercing. If you're fighting mostly light armor, you can go with convex, but in that case I would be using a sword anyway. Double beveled is more health, but it's slower to swing, so I use hollow grind on everything, and hardwood slows things down, so I just stick with standard. Dagger, you can't change anything until level 60 when you unlock the pointy stick. I go with Milanese on the fighting style for that too. Shield. The Welsh buckler doesn't cover enough for me. I go with dome shield. The encumbrance of the hardened steel plate is a big trade-off for a little bit of penetration protection, so I just stick with the regular. For a helmet, I always go medium, sallet, standard visor, which will come in handy. If you don't change anything, you'll automatically have this one, but if you go in, it'll try to get you to buy it, but if you do that by mistake, you can just hit escape and you'll still have it. Armor. This is one of the bigger decisions. Heavy armor is obviously much more resistant, but makes you a lot slower. Light armor, you're the fastest, but you take the most damage, so I think medium's a pretty good trade-off there. Now we're ready. We're all set up. This is identical to my other guy. All they have is different names. You see none of the perks change, nothing else changes. It's a pretty good class. Alright, and now that we have our custom class made, we can see how to do some of the basics. So we have selected our character, and I'm going to be the squad leader of Squad 3, just so I can show you how squad buffs work.
Kill the enemy.
Now you see down here at the bottom of the UI, there's Z and a shield and 1, and X and cross swords and 1. Those are squad buffs. They unlock at level 20. You have to complete officer training, which is just the extra perk that you buy. It was the last one we bought. Those are locked until level 20. And they're only available to the squad leader. So, whoever is the squad leader, it's their 2 squad buffs that will be active. And to use them, I would just hit Z to use my defense buff, and X to use my attack buff. And the number next to them is how many people in my squad will be affected by those buffs. And as you saw, I'm the only person in my squad, so I'm the only person being affected. Alright, now I mentioned earlier the active reload minigame. Now when you have a crossbow, the way that you reload is to right click your mouse, and you'll see this hook spin around the middle, and this notched strip on the outside, and when they finally meet, you're done reloading. However, the active reload minigame, you right click, and then when they line up, you left click, and you can see that it's much faster to reload that way. And as you get better at it, you can hit it on the first try, and you don't have to worry about the disadvantages of crossbow reload speed anymore. Now our perks that we took were Marksman Training and Eagle-Eyed. Eagle-Eyed allows you to zoom in 2 and 4 times. So to aim down your crossbow, you're going to right click, left click fires, just like that. This is the default zoom. And we'll reload. Now you're going to hit control, and now you're zoomed in 2 times. Control again, you're zoomed in 4 times. And shift will actually let you hold your breath for a little while, but as you can see, I'm still holding my breath, and before too long you violently exhale and are no longer able to hold a target. So that's how you reload, that's how you zoom. As you can see, being able to zoom makes hitting targets a lot easier. Now, like I said, I use armor-piercing arrows because most people you'll be fighting are in plate. But I find a lot of other archers, especially here in the early days, don't have better helms unlocked or decide not to use them. So you'll find yourself with a lot of easy headshots on other archers at this point. And this isn't completely fair because I'm level 27 and most of these people have been on the game for about 5 hours at the maximum. Alright, so now I'm going to demonstrate how you can tag people. All you need to do is hover over them and hold down T, and you'll see this little icon spin, and then an orange circle at their feet. That guy moved in front of the one I was trying to tag, so he got it. But as you can see, if he dies, I get a tagger reward of 30 XP for being the one who tagged him. So that's a nice little way to get some free XP. There does seem to be a cooldown on it, but it's not very long. You can also tag friendly targets, and you'll tell them to hold the fortification, which in Team Deathmatch doesn't mean anything. But in a conquest, as long as you have your officer training done, you'll be able to, and I got a tagger reward for him dying. In Conquest, you can tag specific objectives, and tagging those objectives will give you a bonus when they are defended or taken. I think that's everything for the crossbow. We've seen how to reload, we've seen how to tag, which most people still don't know how to do. So if you are proactive in tagging targets, you'll get a lot of extra experience compared to most people you're playing with. As you can see, there's blood all over my screen. That is one disadvantage of Eagle Eye, is that when your vision is bloody like this, you can see it's the same here, and then it creeps in a little bit more at 2 times, and then at 4 times it's pretty hard to hit anything. Sometimes you are able to make shots with your vision completely covered like this. You can still pick out a silhouette. I have several kills that way, so when that happens you definitely want a bandage, and I'm gonna bleed out. But when your vision is bloody, it's definitely a good idea to go ahead and take 5 seconds to bandage yourself, and then you'll have clear vision again for any future shots. Alright, I think that's most of the crossbow specific stuff. You can see there's archers on this other ridge. So I'm going to aim at him, and I'm going to drop my visor, which, if he was shooting at me, would be very good. I still have plenty of vision to aim and shoot him, but if he were to get a headshot on me, it would be much less likely to be fatal. So archer versus archer is a pretty decent time to drop your visor. And with this fast reload mechanism, you're often able to shoot someone who's trying to res or bandage to interrupt it and take about half of their health. And then before they finish the next animation, you can usually hit them again to kill them if they try to resurrect or bandage or whatever a second time. It works on people trying to execute as well, but those animations are a little trickier to deal with. And you can shoot people in the legs and aim around shields. And that guy did the smart thing and ran away. Alright, now I said we were going to pick the... Alright, so I said we were going to pick the battle axe to get through heavy armor and shields. As you can see, you can swing from any direction, just like any other weapon. The downward swing is pretty good because it'll often go under shields and under armor. If you hit Q, you can see that the weapon actually spins. So if you want the axe head, you spin it this way and attack. If you want the spike, you spin it this way and attack. So just depending on if you want more crushing damage or piercing damage, you can spin it either way. There are a few weapons that work like this. Comes in pretty handy. 3 will pull out your dagger, and this is mostly good for fighting people in heavy armor who have big two-handed weapons. You can use your shield to protect yourself, stay in close and kind of circle around them and stab them with the shield. And at that point, their big two-handed weapon is hurting them more than it's helping them because they're not able to swing it. So unless they pull out a different weapon or switch to a dagger themselves, you'll usually do pretty well in that scenario. Alright, now as you can see in this game, I was able to get Squad Leader of Squad 1, which means that my buffs will affect a lot more people. Well, this is just like most, if you play Crossbow, this is just like a lot of other games where it's always a good idea to be up above the battle. There are a few good locations to shoot from. That burning tower is a really good location in Conquest because point C is in this courtyard right here. But in Team Deathmatch, people tend to stick to this open field, probably to avoid archers. So I'm going to shoot this guy, and as you see, it did damage to me. So now I'm hurt. And that's done to... In the early days of the beta, a lot of people were team killing and things like that, but now you kill yourself as well. So you really need to be careful when you're trying to shoot into crowds. And that just about does it. I think we covered everything there is to go over for Crossbowmen. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. You can reach me here or on my stream at twitch.tv/CavicTV. Thanks for watching.